The Spelling Bee, written by Jill Sherman, illustrated by Laura Zarin. Looks like we're down to our final two spellers, Mr. Russo exclaimed. Jasmine beamed. She was sure she was going to win the class spelling bee. Good luck, Finn, the other speller, and offered Jasmine a handshake. Luck has nothing to do with it, she said smugly. Blushing, Finn lowered his hand. All right, Mr. Russo said. Finn, your next word is apology. Finn took a deep breath. Apology, he repeated nervously. A-P-O-L-A-G-Y. Apology. Mr. Russo frowned sympathetically and said, I'm afraid that's incorrect. Jasmine, let's see if you can spell this word for the win. Apology. A-P-O-L-O, she said, stretching the letter Finn missed. G-Y. Apology. You got it, Mr. Russo cheered. Then he asked Jasmine to say one more final word. Arrogant. After she spelled it correctly, Mr. Russo announced, Class, let's have a hand for our new spelling champ. The class erupted in applause. Mr. Russo said, Jasmine, you'll represent our class at the school-wide spelling bee tomorrow. Do you think you're up to it? Oh, yes, Mr. Russo, she replied. During lunch, everyone was talking about the spelling bee. Jasmine walked by the table where Finn sat with his friends. I can't believe you're going on stage in front of the entire school, Lily gushed. That's a big deal. How hard is it to spell 4 words? Jasmine asked. Easy for you to say, Finn said. You beat all of us. Well, you only had to spell baby words, Jasmine announced. Before they could say anything, she said, see you guys, L-A-T-E-R. The next day, Jasmine waited with the spelling bee winners from the other classes. She had not thought about the older students she would have to spell against in the school-wide spelling bee. She found a spot next to a 4th grader she knew from her block. Hi, Josh. I didn't know you were a good speller, Jasmine said. I think I have a shot winning at this year. Me too, said Jasmine eagerly. Aren't you in 2nd grade? Josh asked. 2nd grades never win the school-wide spelling bee. Well, I'm pretty good, Jasmine bragged. I won my class bee on the word apology. Josh looked at her quizzically and said, Apology? That's kind of a baby word, isn't it? Jasmine blushed. Maybe I should have studied the list of words Mr. Russo gave the class, she thought. Principal Lopez started to explain the rules of the spelling bee. Congratulations to our super spellers, she began. Jasmine wasn't listening. If apology was a baby word, what kind of word was she asked to respell? The auditorium was packed for the competition. Jasmine sat nervously on stage with the other spellers, her palms sweating. Principal Lopez introduced each of the spellers. Cheers from each student's classmate arose in different areas of the auditorium. When Jasmine's name was announced, most of Mr. Russo's class clapped for her. Jasmine looked at Finn. He wasn't clapping. He seemed to be glaring at her. As the competition began, Jasmine eyed each speller. Student after student stepped forward and spelled his or her word correctly. Jasmine knew some of the words, but not all of them. Finally, it was her turn. Jasmine walked to the front of the stage and crossed her fingers. hoping for a word she knew. Jasmine, please spell caterpillar, said Principal Lopez. Jasmine's heart sank. She never spelled this word before. Taking a deep breath, Jasmine tried to sound it out. She said, caterpillar. C-A-T. Jasmine paused and then continued. E-R-P. But she wasn't sure what came next. She hesitated, tried to think. I-L-E-R. Caterpillar, she finished. I'm sorry, but that's incorrect, said Principal Lopez. Jasmine returned to her chair. That was it. She was out on her first word. She could not believe it. Yesterday she'd been sure she could win the whole competition. Jasmine looked out into the audience and spotted Finn. Now I know how he felt, she thought it. After the competition, Jasmine opened the classroom quietly, hoping to slip in unnoticed. Way to go, Jasmine, Liddy said. Yeah, bad luck on that world. Finn sympathized. You're not mad at me after everything I said yesterday? Jasmine asked. I'm really sorry for being mean, she said quietly. It's all right. Besides, it was really brave to go up against those older students, Finn replied. Thanks, Finn. Now I understand how you felt yesterday. It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to be mean about it. Jasmine said, you never know how others feel until you're in their shoes, she added. Finn looked at his shoes and laughed.